Welcome back to the 24th floor. You know, we spend a lot of time talking football and basketball on this show, but there's another Memphis program getting ready for a new season. Memphis Volleyball is entering year 2 under head coach Cheri Lindsay. It's been a busy offseason, from adding to her coaching staff to launching the new Aces Club. There's plenty of momentum surrounding the program. So what's the vision for this team, and what does success look like this season, and why should Memphis sports fans be paying attention? Well, head coach Cheri Lindsay joins us now on the 24th floor. Coach, we thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Now, Coach, you're entering your second season here at Memphis. I got to ask, what's the biggest thing you've learned about this city and the university over the past year?
Yeah, I mean, over the past year, I don't know that I would say that I learned it because, I mean, if you know about Memphis, it goes hand in hand with the city. But the biggest thing that I kind of realized is that this city is this school and this school is this city. And being out and about in the city is a big part of building your brand as a team, and also just overall exposure. The people here, they genuinely love everything about Memphis athletics and just the school in general. And so there's just a lot of pride that comes with being here. And so being able to foster that and, get my players out in the community, and it has made the community want to come out and watch them play. And so it's been really great.
You talk about pride, and another thing is culture. It's something we talk about a lot on this show. And when people hear that word, they usually think football or basketball. But what does culture look like inside a successful volleyball program?
Yeah, I mean, I would think the sport really doesn't matter. I think that at the end of the day, like every coach strives to have strong team culture. And that's just, a team that moves. I always say player-led teams win championships. And so a team that moves kind of on its own without kind of having to be pulled along. And there's a role that coaches play as well in implementing those things. And so that's what we've spent my first year doing, is implementing a team culture that not just can withstand a season, but a team culture that can withstand, for years and years and years to come. We want to build long-lasting success, long-lasting culture. And so that's a big part of what we do. And, of course, with our recruiting and everything, finding athletes that fit into our system and our scheme, but also like that fit into this city and fit into this school. I feel like very special athletes want to come to Memphis and be a part of what all of our teams are building. And so that's a huge part of finding the right cultural fit when we're doing our recruiting as well. So, yeah, I mean, culture is always going to be paramount in my gym.
And so recruiting is big, obviously. And I know this recruiting world is way different back from when you was playing volleyball now with NIL and transfer portals. Tell us a little bit of what that process is kind of like for you in this new world of college athletics, especially with budgets. Even now, like the big teams that you would think have money, they find themselves priced out.
Well, first of all, don't say back when. It wasn't that long ago. Wait a minute. It was kind of that long ago. But no, it is. It's just different, And I think that as college coaches, it's our job to kind of adapt. And this past year of NIL, rev share, all that type of stuff has just been different, for all of us to kind of adapt to. And so we're just, slowly chugging along and, trying to make the best decisions for our teams and our rosters.
And so you won an AVCA Team Academic Award again, and this program has made academic success part of its identity. How important is it to build student athletes who succeed not only on the court, but off the court?
Yeah, I think that for me personally, when I was an athlete, I feel like more emphasis could have been put on the after, we get all this glory and stuff when you're playing, and it's like, oh, you're a volleyball player, but it's like, okay, what are you when you step off this court after you walk across that stage and you're done playing, after your 4 or 5 now years? What do you have to show for it? There's not a ton of, professional volleyball leagues. There are some that are really growing rapidly, but or you can play overseas, but what does that look like for you? I want to make sure that we're fostering not just a good environment for you to have a great volleyball career, but I want you to have a degree to fall back on that means something to you, that you can, use to kind of catapult you into your career when you leave here. And I don't feel like I necessarily had that as much when I was an athlete. It was like, you're an athlete. And so when I was leaving school, I really had no idea what I was going to do. And it just became where I had a coach who, needed an assistant coach. And then I moved to Ohio and I was an assistant coach, and here we are. But I do think that that's a huge part of, academic prowess is just as important to me as prowess on the volleyball court.
You bring up coaches. You recently added an assistant coach, Brooke Hudson from FAMU. Shout out HBCUs. I know you went to Prairie View A&M. Shout out. Now, the FAMU, they won a conference title last season, but what stood out to you about Miss Hudson, and why was she the right fit for where this program is headed?
Yeah, so Brooke actually coached with me my last year at Prairie View. She was my student assistant. I also coached against her when she was playing at FAM, and I tell people all the time, there was nobody more frustrating to play against. There was a reason she was the libero of the year. She just, for one, she didn't let balls hit the ground, but she also just controlled the team in a way that I've never seen a defender control the team. And so she's that same exact way as a coach. And she played a huge role in our defense and serve receive when I was at Prairie View. And so I knew that she was going to be a perfect person to bring on to this staff, just the way that she kind of thinks through things. She sees the game a little bit different from other coaches. And so I'm super excited to have her here. I think she's going to really elevate our back row. So awesome stuff there.
And so they won the conference with a 9-7 record is what I was looking. And so it's not like it was something that they was just jaw dropping. They were just kind of getting it out of the mud, which I like programs like that. Sometimes you don't have to be all flashy to get it done. Now, last season, Coach obviously had its challenges. And I always tell people Rome wasn't built in a day. And so we should always give graces to year one coaches. But every program has a point where it starts turning the corner. What gives you confidence that this team is moving in the right direction?
Yeah, I think a big part of last year, like I said, aside from the cultural piece, we had to build. We had very limited numbers when I first took this job, and the way volleyball recruiting kind of works is we're recruiting years and years out. We have 3 2028 commits. These are rising juniors, and so because we recruit so far out, it's a little bit tougher to find players, super late. And so we managed to find some awesome athletes who were willing to buy in and willing to get stuff done and do work. And unfortunately, you can't really do too much about injuries and some of the things that occur. But I was just really proud of them. And so I feel like throughout that fall, because of course nobody wants to lose, but there's other ways to win, in my opinion. There's other ways to win culturally. There's ways to win, by team building and being a good teammate and those type of things. And so when we went into the spring, yes, we did go into the portal. We did find some athletes to help us kind of continue to build. And that was a really cool turning point for them. And when I'm talking turning point, I mean from a playing perspective. We seen them take a huge leap ahead as athletes. And that's what spring is for. And so I was super excited. We saw a lot of really cool things that happened in some of these spring tournaments. So I'm really excited to put it all together. And then we added our 2026 class, and it's just going to continue to grow and get better. But they're playing really well and working really well together. And so I'm pumped to see what this season has in store for us.
I'm so fascinated that you said you recruit years in advance, because in our other segment, when we were talking about Memphis football, we were talking about how basically it's like a year by year thing because they're like mercenaries. So the old school approach is you recruit ahead and you look at development, but now it seems like in other sports, it's 1 year, one season at a time. So it's cool to kind of hear you say that you still are looking ahead instead of just focusing on the year, and you're still looking like, okay, we got these players coming in down the line. That's very interesting to me.
Yeah, no, we recruit pretty far out, and our 2027 class, we have some ballers in that class too, and a lot of them are actually going to be coming to school early. They graduate high school early, and so they'll be coming in the spring of 2027. So if people come out to our games in the spring, because we do have a spring season, it doesn't count for anything, but we play a couple spring tournaments, and so you'll get a first look at our 2027 class at that time as well. So we recruit pretty early.
One thing that caught my attention was the launch of the ACES Club. How much can community support really change what's possible for a program like Memphis Volleyball? Because I know you alluded to coming out and supporting you all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that the ACES Club was an amazing idea. My sports supervisor, Keela, she kind of trailhead, was the point of contact for that. But it was a really great idea, for one, because it gets everybody in the gym, right? Like if you're interested in giving and being a part of it, like, we're doing season tickets, we're doing a lot of different things there, but it gets you in the gym. And then you start seeing these athletes play, and then you start learning their names. And then from there, we kind of start building a community that volleyball can be, can thrive in. And so the Aces Club is awesome. We have some big plans for this team going forward. From a facility standpoint, we're trying to do some locker room renovations. We're trying to, possibly do a international trip. And so, all those things cost a little bit. And so being able to implement this program is a great way for the community to help our team out in some of those smaller things and some of our bigger projects as well. But also just being a part of it. We have a really cool tier where if you give X amount, you get to come on a trip with us. So
That's cool.
you get to take a trip and be a part of like our game day and like on the road and how that is. And we travel to some cool places like in conference and out of conference, so that's a pretty cool thing that comes with that Aces Club. But yeah, it's a really neat thing, and I'm excited to launch it.
Me and my news director, we talk all the time about how much money that is put into like the niche sports that people don't know about, like volleyball, like a tennis, like a golf. And so to see that this is something that's kind of now like public, I'm very interested to see how many people really get into it. And I'm just so fascinated to kind of watch you all grow it, because I think that is really cool. And like we said, in this new world with NIL, we got to be public about it, because a lot of teams, it's my bag is bigger than yours, and that's why they end up being better. So let's say somebody watching right now and they've never been to a Memphis volleyball match. What's the one thing you tell them they're missing?
Well, they're first of all, they're missing energy, and like I do want to go back because you had said volleyball is up and coming. Volleyball has been here. You don't fill out
Yeah.
Nebraska filled out a football field with
Yeah.
99, the 92,000 people, and actually one of my players played in that game. You don't fill out a football stadium. If the sport is just up and coming and stuff, but there's a lot of really there's cool things that are even developing in Memphis around volleyball. Some of the clubs are finally starting to get more notoriety, and more players are playing in those clubs teams, and so it's really cool to kind of see it grow. Um, but to go back, so can you tell me your question one more time?
If you've never been to a Memphis volleyball match, what's the one thing you tell them they're missing?
Yeah, if you've never been to a Memphis volleyball match, for one, I would tell you you're missing the energy. These young women, they play hard, they play gritty. I always say they're it's filthy. Can you play? Can you play with that grit and that filth, to just be willing to do what you got to do to win games? And like I said, we go back to this spring. It was just a huge spring of development for us, and I saw that in these athletes. And so that's what you're missing. You're missing an amazing group of young women who are they're athletic, they jump high, they hit the ball hard, they're digging balls. Volleyball, every single point, every part of the game is a point. It doesn't have really any slope spots, and so once you come and watch volleyball, you're gonna be hooked. I was my dad's first volleyball athlete. My sister played basketball in college. My brothers played football, and so him sitting and watching games is so funny. Especially now that I'm a coach, because our family group chat is like constantly going off from everybody watching the game, because even somebody who may not be familiar with the rules or anything else, they're gonna enjoy coming to volleyball. It just is. It's just a lot of energy, and it's fun. So come on out. You got to watch them play.
Yeah, and Coach, you may have already hit on this, so you don't have to repeat yourself if you do. But my last question is, like, what would be your message to Memphis fans as they get ready for another volleyball season?
I'm sorry, you kind of broke up a little bit on your thing.
What would be your message to Memphis fans as they get ready for another volleyball season?
Yeah, come out, be loud. We play in the El Marone Field House, which is an
Yeah,
amazing experience. And it kind of sits in a bowl. So you're able to see all the action, get you some season tickets, because they're on
yeah.
sale, and they're really affordable. And, all those ticket purchases, they go to a great cause and everything, but it also gets you in this gym, and you get to feel the energy that I'm talking about, because once you experience it once, you're going to come back, because they're really awesome, to play and watch. And then also, after a lot of the games, we do meet and greets. And so if you're a high school coach or middle school coach and you want to come out, you want to bring your team, bring them. The athletes or anybody gets in. If you're under 18, you get in for free. So, it's a great opportunity for you to come and watch some good volleyball and just enjoy it. So come on out. We would love to have you.
The Memphis volleyball team for the people. Coach, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us. Best of luck to you and the Tigers this season. And for folks, if you'd like to see this team in action, you'll have 2 chances right here in Memphis. The Tigers host exhibition matches against Harding on August 15th and Tennessee State on August 22nd. Coach, once again, thanks for joining us. We look forward to following your team all season long.
Yes, thank you for having me.